Welcome, everyone, to another week of All Women Driven. I am your host, Sarah Davis. You can find me at All Women Driven on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. You can also find me under Beauty Mama Bear on Instagram. You can also find me at the Lon MacArthur YouTube channel. Over there, I am a part of some videos. We have complete guides, scheduling, all things for news and information. We have a podcast every Tuesday night, a live stream, so you can come on. We answer your questions live and we have some fun. And then we have a couple of other things over there as well. Go check out Ford Video Guy. He is my co-host over at Lon MacArthur, but on Ford Video Guy, he shows you what modifications he makes to all of his vehicles. If other channels of note would be All Terrain Nation. They are wonderful, great friends. If you saw my episode with Kelly, go check them out. That's where you can find her. There's also RagnarCon and Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. If you have any other questions, or there might be a few more down there, go check my description. Don't forget to like and share where you are watching. Sharing is the easiest way to support me, along with just watching the videos. Don't forget to hit that notification bell either. I try and post every other week over, on YouTube and Spotify, but sometimes it doesn't always work out. I may post on Friday, but if you hit that notification bell, it will tell you when I've posted and share that video with you so that you don't miss any. All right, so let's get into this week. All right, so this week's guest is Kristen. Hi.
Good morning. It's so nice to see you, and it was so awesome to run into you at the Silver Lake Sand Dunes.
Yeah, how was the rest of your day there?
Oh, it was fantastic. Absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful. I had actually never been on those particular dunes, and it was so amazing, both to feel how it was, driving on the dunes, riding on the dunes, but just to see all of the Broncos and all of that community around the 60th celebration and the Bronco takeover. It was magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried to go up Test Hill the second day. We went up the first day and made it. The second day, we just could not get over it. We changed the shock level. We changed air pressure. Like, we changed a lot, and we weren't able to get up that second day.
Oh, yeah. Our team, I think this was actually while you and I were talking over by the 60th anniversary vehicle that we had. Some team members of mine were up on the test hill, and they actually got to do some recovery. They rescued a Hummer and
Oh my gosh.
something else. Yeah.
I heard there was a Tesla Cybertruck out there.
There was. Yes. I saw the images. That was also, when I was down by the vehicle, so I missed that. But yes, there was a stuck Cybertruck also. Kind of a crazy place to take that particular vehicle.
Yes. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, there are just some interesting vehicles out there. I did see there was a mom with a pink dune buggy and her 3 kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, "Oh, that is a boss mom right there." It's
her
dune buggy, her kids, like, she's going out there. It was
I love that.
Quite fun to see everyone.
Yeah.
So Kristen, what do you do?
I am a color, material, and finish designer for vehicles. So some people call it, I think like the legacy term is color and trim. And then lately it's been more color materials, or some people even abbreviate it to like CMD, color materials design, or CMF, colors, materials, finish. I've kind of heard it every which way. But I like to think of it myself as almost fashion design for vehicles. That's how I prefer to see it.
Awesome. Have you always been in automotive, or how did you get into this position?
I had quite a twisty road, a winding road, if you will, to get into this industry and career. So from the time I was very young, it was clear to me, and I think my parents, those around me, that I was a very creative child. I loved anything artistic. I love to draw. I love to paint. I love to take things apart. which sometimes was not good. You know, my parents would find me in the basement deconstructing things so that I could have materials to make other things, you know, for my toys or what have you. I made a lot of messes. I was a very messy child, which, you know, was all creative exploration, you could say. Bless my parents for, you know, allowing me to have the space and mess that I needed to explore all of those creative impulses. Um, so, but then, you know, I didn't know any artists, especially like commercial artists. I didn't know any designers growing up. I didn't know anyone who worked in a creative field really at all. And so when it came time to go to college, it was like art school didn't really, it wasn't top of mind. And I don't think that my mom, you know, really was thrilled about me going to art school because, again, we just didn't know anyone who was doing that as a career. And it's kind of like jumping off of a cliff. So I started university at the University of Michigan, which is an amazing school. And it's obviously known for its academics. And because, again, my mom really was nervous about me studying art. So I was just kind of taking like the general literature, science, and arts, all of those basic academic classes. Of course, I worked in some art history and things that felt creative. I also loved Spanish. And so that was kind of like my main focus before I transferred into the art school. But after 2 years, well, really a year, I would say, I started to feel the bug. It's like when you're creative, you can't suppress it. It's going to come out, whether you want it to or not. It's going to happen. And you kind of have to embrace it and go with it. So I told my mom, I'm like, I have to transfer into the art school. I'm going to start making my portfolio because like, I can't not try, you know, I have to follow what I'm feeling. So my third year at University of Michigan, I transferred into the art school and I studied everything and anything and everything, sculpture, drawing, photography, industrial design or product design, just all of it. I continued to take Spanish classes because I really loved it. And of course the other academics. But I loved, again, anything having to do with art, period. And so I thought at the time that I wanted to try product design. But it just wasn't like fulfilling everything for me. Like something felt missing. And then I realized probably toward the end of that third year, I wanted to try apparel design or fashion design because that was a passion that I had as well. I was the kid in high school when there was a Spirit Week. Everyone came to my house and I dressed them all. You know, like whatever the theme was, like it didn't matter what the theme was. It could be so random, but I had enough things in my closet to make it work for all of my girlfriends and, you know, even some guy friends, like so many people. It was like a 70s theme. It was a 50s theme. It was a certain movie. I had it covered because I was always thrifting and collecting vintage clothing and collecting interesting like costume type things. Like I just had such a huge collection at home that I could outfit anyone that needed costume help. So I loved all of that stuff. And still it didn't hit me, or like, I don't know how. I had an art teacher, amazing art teacher, who owned a vintage clothing store before she was a teacher. And I remember, I think it was my junior year of high school, she had all of this clothing left from when she had closed the store when she started her teaching career. And she invited one of my best friends and I to come to her parents' house and just shop, you know, and like we could just have whatever because she, you know, needed to do something with it. And that was like heaven on earth for me because I still have things that I wear from that. I still have certain dresses I got. I mean, it's crazy. And I don't know how it didn't come to me sooner that I had an interest in fashion with all of that. Like now looking back, I'm like astounded that it wasn't clear to me or even to my mom or other people in my life that they didn't suggest that. Again, I didn't know any designers. And in the Detroit area, like I didn't know any fashion designers. So once I was in art school and I was just so happy taking my design, drawing, photography, sculpture classes, I decided that I also wanted to pursue fashion. Well, at that point, I was, halfway through my third year. And again, I loved University of Michigan. It was such an amazing school, especially academically. And I wanted to finish my degree there in fine arts, so and design. So I decided to. I also didn't know how to sew. tiny issue with wanting to study fashion, right? Well, lucky for me, my mom loved to sew. She designed and made her own wedding dress. She used to make her own clothing all the time in the 60s and the 70s. And so she gave me one of her old machines and taught me how to thread it and taught me, the basic like functions of the machine. And I just kind of went down this rabbit hole of learning to sew, making my own clothing. Thankfully, the assistant dean in the art school at U of M, she was amazing. And because University of Michigan didn't have a fashion design course or, school, she allowed me to do some independent studies while I was studying my other design. And that allowed me to put my fashion portfolio together to apply to fashion school. There's only one school that I wanted to go to, the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, or FIT. It's an amazing school. And thankfully I was accepted. I didn't have a backup plan. I would have obviously kept trying, but I worked really hard putting that portfolio together. And the great thing about already being in art school is, all my photography training, I knew how I wanted to photograph the dresses that I was designing. I knew what I wanted the art direction to look like for the photo shoot, for the portfolio. I could kind of visualize how I wanted it to be presented, as well, thinking of that from the get-go of when I was working on the design. So I was able to do all of that myself, to the point that when I brought my portfolio to my interview at FIT, when I was applying, they thought mistakenly I was applying for a photography major. And I had to be no, this is the clothing that I designed. I thought of it as a strength of my photography knowledge. Mm-hmm. And that's where FIT and U of M were so different. University of Michigan was very cross-pollinating with the art classes, and Fashion Institute of Technology was extremely siloed, which for me was perfect because I had my fine arts degree. I went to FIT particularly for intense apparel design training. There wasn't a lot of cross-pollination in the school, but I already had, that background. So I was only there for the intense fashion classes, and FIT was amazing. It's such a good school. It was unbelievable. Every day was literally magical. I just soaked all of it in. We had the best professors. It was also interesting. We still had life drawing, just like I did at University of Michigan. And then we had another class, which was drawing the models with garments on, which was a different thing than the fashion illustration where the proportions are all different. I just loved it. I loved all of it. So I was still drawing all the time. Wasn't doing as much photography, but FIT was amazing. And so then I'm okay, I love all of these different creative things. I clearly love design, but then I'm thinking I'm going to be a fashion designer and I'm going to stay in New York, and this is what I'm going to do. And I didn't know about the position in automotive design for color and materials. Again, like you said in your podcast with Dawn, there's all these jobs in automotive that people don't know about, unless you're kind of in the mix. And I would say that's definitely true for this type of career. So I had come home back to the Detroit area for the summer, and I was looking at apartments in Brooklyn and, planning on going and getting a job out there and relocating. And I happened to meet somebody who knew about color and materials design and automotive, and they kind of were explaining to me once they heard that I had gone to fashion school. And I'm wow, this sounds really interesting, because it was, to me, a blend of product design, which I really liked studying, and fashion design kind of all wrapped into one. One thing that was especially appealing for me to work in automotive is working with wood and metal and plastic. In apparel design, it's all, for the most part, soft materials, which I also absolutely love. Textiles and leather and synthetic leather. I love everything. But, if you have a hard material, it's usually just in like very small pieces, like a fastener or something like that. The only metal really is going to be on a zipper. Not very exciting, right? And the thought of being able to use like different metal finishes, different types of wood, like that was really alluring to me. So I decided to apply fresh out of fashion school. And that's when I started in automotive design. I started at Ford. Um, so it was great. I was there for around 4 years, and then
Okay.
I moved to Canada to work on consumer electronics for a couple of years, which was really interesting. And then I went to Nike, where I worked on basketball performance footwear. So
Okay.
I worked on shoes for Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Like I was completely in basketball land, which was so fun. Growing up in Detroit, at my age, basketball was a huge thing. We had these back-to-back championships, and I loved going to all the games. And it was so interesting because my time at Ford was focused on performance, right, for vehicles. And at Nike, it was performance for the athletes themselves, for humans, and that was really interesting. It was very interesting to think about like
Yeah.
acceleration, braking, if you will, like on a basketball court. So similar, but so different. That was fascinating. And at Nike, I was only focused on materials. They had color and materials split up. So I felt like I was back more in that apparel space, even though it was footwear. It was really interesting. So I loved doing all of that. It was wonderful. However, automotive is magical to me, and being from the Detroit area, in Nike, I was out in Portland, Oregon, which was beautiful, but it wasn't home. And I really wanted to come back to the Detroit area, and I really wanted to come back to automotive because I just felt like I wasn't finished there. I had some really exciting projects. My first time at Ford, I was the color and materials designer on the first Raptor.
Okay.
And I worked on multiple generations of the Shelby GT500, got to present to Carroll Shelby all of our designs, which was so amazing and exciting. And I just felt like I had unfinished business. I had more that I wanted to do in the automotive space. And so I've been back for about over 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been really exciting to come back.
Yeah. Now I met you at the embargoed event for Maverick.
Yes.
And you worked on Lobo, Bronco Sport freewheeling.
Yes.
And
the
then
big Bronco freewheeling also.
and the big Bronco recently. So what parts of those did you get to help with?
Oh, okay. So the Lobo was such a fun project because I felt like, because of the audience for the Maverick, it's like a more youthful audience for a truck, and that was really exciting for me to kind of push the boundaries a little bit. And because it was based on like street trucks and street vehicles, I felt like I could tap back into my time at Nike, where we did do a lot of like brighter colors. We layered a lot of textures and patterns, and that's something that we don't always get to see in the automotive space and in the truck space particularly. So I was really excited to kind of bring that extra life into the Lobo particularly, which was so fun. And I'm really happy with how it turned out, and it seems like it has resonated with people, which is fantastic. That's all you can ask for as a designer. And then the Bronco freewheeling and the Bronco Sport freewheeling, what an amazing project. And my amazing design chief, Steve Gilmore, was so passionate about that project. And that was so fun to work with him on it, and our coworker Boris as well. That was really fun because there was so much color. And usually in automotive, it's like, here's your accent color on like the neutral interior or even the exterior stuff. Here's your racing stripe accent on a Mustang. In the case of the Lobo, I was so excited to bring like dual colors together. And in the case of the freewheeling, it was like a color explosion with the sunset. And of course, we were taking inspiration from that palette from the original freewheeling that Ford had on multiple vehicles, on trucks, on Broncos back in the day. We wanted to take that and kind of modernize it a little bit, make it a little cleaner, but the essence of the colors stayed true. So having that sunset color palette was so fun. And I loved the challenge of how much can I get it into the interior without it being too much. If you'll see on both the big Bronco and the Bronco Sport, the seat inserts have all those colors woven in to mimic the stripes on the exterior. The stripes on the exterior are reflective, which is really fun. So if you see it driving down the road, yes, it is so fun. Next time you're like, try when you're standing next to it, just try looking at it at some different angles and you'll start to see it like glowing basically. And then of course you put a light on it, a flashlight, especially at certain angles, it will just absolutely glow, or a flash photo, it will just light up. And that was super fun. Also a little challenging from a color matching perspective. But that reflective quality gives so much depth to the color. And typically when you see something that's reflective, even in footwear or apparel or automotive, it's typically silver, right? Or maybe black. Yeah. So having like actual color that's reflective, it brings such dimension to the color, and it's not something that you see often. And so that was a really fun thing to put out there and work on.
Now that I think of it, I haven't seen them in the evening or with light like directly flashed onto it. I'll have to, if I can see one again. Yeah. Well, something that they don't really mention in the product paperwork that we see.
Right.
You know, they aren't like, hey, here's a little Easter egg. It's something that you have to figure out for yourself.
For sure.
So that's so much fun.
Yeah.
So let's see. Has your family been in automotive, or is this, like you said, that you were just, you know, growing up, how did you, see the automotive world?
Yeah, so my mom was a huge Mustang, I guess you could say a fanatic, because she was a Mustang owner.
Okay.
So before I was born, my mom had a 69 Mustang. It was light metallic lime with, I think, some like gold flecks, and it had a dark green interior. And she loved that vehicle so much. She had it when it was brand new. She actually got it when she started at Ford. Now she didn't work for Ford for a super long time, but that's what one of the reasons that pushed her to get a Mustang. I think she had a Chevelle, and when she took the job at Ford, she was so excited to get the Mustang, and she loved that vehicle. She worked on it all the time. I have these amazing photos of her, like tinkering under the hood. And then later she took more pictures with her Mustang. She had cleaned herself up and she put on a little outfit that she had designed and made. So she has, the pictures of her in her jeans and her t-shirt, like under the hood. And then she has the pictures, all cleaned up, which are so amazing. And so my mom, Mustang was a huge like piece of her heart. And even though by the time we came around, she didn't have the Mustang anymore, sadly, because, then she had switched to a more like kid-friendly vehicle. But she talked about it all the time, and we saw the photos. And I wish I could find it for her. I wonder where it is. I'm so curious. Stayed in the Detroit area, or like, and also I wish I could help give her that dark green interior on a Mustang now. I don't know how likely that is, but I wish I could do it.
The colored interiors were wild. We have a 92 Lincoln or a 91 Lincoln Town Car, and it has blue interior. And it's silver.
Yeah, they really were wild. And especially the 60s too. It's like, here's your aqua interior. Here's, bright red interior. And I'm like, oh, so amazing. I do wish we could kind of bring that back a little bit. It was so cool. It was so cool.
Anymore, it's just the trim.
Yeah.
Just trim colors in there.
Right.
Yeah. So Did you find it welcoming to come into the automotive community and into your role?
Yeah, I did. I did. I found it very welcoming, especially in that group, in the color materials group. Um, it was awesome. I remember my first week. I'm like, I can't believe like I go from not knowing any designers as a student or anything, and now I'm just in a community of designers.
Yeah.
Which honestly, school was the same way, right? And it was just great because you feel like you're with your people. You
Yeah.
feel like you've kind of found your spot, and
Mhm.
I was really lucky. I got to work on such amazing, iconic products, kind of from the get go, which was so exciting. Um, and I loved working with everyone in the studio. It was good. Definitely a little bit of a culture shock. Was the engineering and some of that stuff was a little bit of a culture shock for me, um, because it was mostly male at the time and a little intense. um, Sometimes I'd be the only person in the room that was from a creative function at Ford, and you're fighting for things, which I'm very passionate about. And you had to, I found out really quickly, how vocal you need to be and intense you may need to be,
Mhm.
to get the things that people deserve and want. So yeah, it was a little intense, but it was good. It was helpful
Yeah.
real life experience for sure.
Yeah, so, coming into that, you do you find that your area, at Ford is more women or more was it more male-centered like like most of the rest of automotive?
So the first time I was at Ford, the color materials group was mostly women. But then outside of that group, it was definitely mostly men. And that went for like the exterior and interior designers, engineers, program teams. I mean, it wasn't completely, but it was mostly. I mean, I was often the only
Mhm.
woman in the room for sure. And now I have found that the color materials group is definitely a lot more co-ed than it used to be. And in this exterior interior design studio is still, I would say, extremely predominantly male. But I work with a lot more female engineers and women in marketing and on the program teams, project managers, that sort of thing. So I'm seeing more women at Ford in certain areas for
Mhm.
sure. But in design, it's still, especially outside of color and materials design, it's definitely still very heavily male leaning. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. So do you have any side hobbies or gigs that you kinda get into?
Yes. Oh, yes. So, well, I told you how much I love anything creative. And the first time I worked at Ford, I had this side job as a photographer for Our Detroit Magazine. And
Okay.
I loved it because not only do I love, you know, photography, I just really like people. I like meeting new people. I love making like connections, talking to people.
Mhm.
I just really thrive on that. And so that job was really fun. Sometimes I would do it like once a month. Sometimes it was like 5 or 6 times a month. I would go to like charity events in Detroit, and take like the party photos basically. And it was so fun. And actually, there were tons of people from Ford. It was so funny because I would, be seeing people from Ford that I might not interact with in my job at Ford,
Mhm.
but they were representing the company at like a certain
Yeah.
charity event or things like that. And then all kinds of other Detroit people, which was really fun. I had a very good time doing that. I just completely did it for fun and loved it. But the other thing about me is I'm a huge music person. I just absolutely love music. I love going to concerts. I love listening to music. I grew up playing piano and then played guitar in high school. I still play a little. I don't get as much time as I would like to play guitar. And I picked up
Mhm.
bass over the shutdown
Okay.
in 2020. Just like, I'm
Yeah.
home, like, let me find a new hobby. And I've always loved listening to bass lines in music. And I liked playing guitar too. So I just thought I would try the bass, and oh my God, it was so much fun. Immediately, I was like, this is awesome. I loved it. So and I got a piano. That was like my piano, or my pandemic purchase was the piano and a bass guitar. Because although I learned and played constantly growing up, I hadn't had a piano in a long time.
Okay.
So I just went really into that, loved it, especially because during that time there weren't any concerts happening. Now I find I'm going to tons of concerts, but I don't have a lot of time to play, which is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love music. I love it so
Yeah.
much. I've been to so many concerts this year already. And one thing that happened to me this year that I've never really done is I've been traveling for some concerts, which has been really
Okay.
interesting. Detroit is super lucky because we've always been a very main stop on any given tour.
Yeah.
Most major acts are going to have a stop in Detroit. So growing up, I was just constantly going to every show, and it was no big deal. It was so close. But now I think after the pandemic or different things, it's like, I don't know, I'm finding that there's shows that I want to go to that aren't in Detroit. So like, I just went to Cincinnati to see Beck with the orchestra. That was so
Okay.
unbelievable. He's one of my favorite artists. God, I've probably seen him like 12 times over the years. And that was amazing. And then from Cincinnati, I went to Chicago to see Kim Deal, who is an amazing musician. She has a band called The Breeders that she started with her twin
Okay.
sister Ellie, and they're one of my favorite bands. She was also the bass player in the Pixies before the Breeders, and I've seen her live with the Pixies. I've seen her live many times with the Breeders, and this past
Mhm.
year she put out a solo album. And I drove. She's from Dayton, Ohio, and that's where she lives,
Okay.
and that's super close to Detroit. It was like a 3-hour drive. So a
Yeah.
friend of mine from Texas flew to Detroit. We went down for the show together, and it was so amazing. She has a string section and a horn section, which is kind of
Mm.
not something that she would really like normally have with her other bands. And it was so good. I immediately was like, I need to go to another one of the shows. And she just had that Dayton show because it was almost like a soft opening, like a pop-up show before
Okay.
her tour on the East Coast and the West Coast started. So I ended up going to the Brooklyn and Manhattan shows, which were back to back. I went out there. I always am looking for an excuse to go to New York so I can
Yeah.
go visit IT and see friends who are there. So I stayed with a friend and we
Yeah.
went to those shows, which was so fun. And then I was in San Diego for the Lobo and Bronco Sport media drives. I was on even though
Mhm.
I own a Bronco Sport that I love, but I was there for Lobo, and we were in different locations. But the day that I flew in before the media drive started, I just happened to like check her tour schedule, and she was playing a concert that night, and it was the last night of her US tour. Just happened to be the day that I flew in, so of
Yeah.
course I had to go. So I ended up
Yeah.
I've seen her solo album tour 5 times this year, which sounds kind of intense, but the San Diego was just like a lucky,
Yeah.
it was just luck that I happened to be in the right place at the right time. And then I loved the Chicago show that was a couple of weeks ago. She's just amazing. So I
Yeah.
love, doing all of that in my time outside of the automotive work. And
Yeah.
because what's better than like driving and listening to amazing music, right?
Yeah. No,
It
it's
goes so well
amazing.
together.
So we live in Salina, Kansas, middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
Um, we get some bands, we get some tours, but not big ones. So, like,
Yeah.
my husband's favorite band is 311, and
Okay.
so, like, we've been to see them multiple times, but we have to go to Kansas City 3 hours away or
Mhm.
Wichita an hour and a half away, and so there was one year where we went and saw, like, 4 different concerts, and we drove to Kansas City for one, camped there, then saw Foreigner in Wichita, and then went back out to Oklahoma and saw All American Rejects. And so we
Okay.
saw, like, 3 in a month, and, like, we had to have our kids watched, by
Yes.
someone, and we just, like, went camping. Like, we set up a tent, we went and saw,
Mhm.
to these 3 different locations and saw 3 different bands, and it was just I think that was
It's
our
so
favorite
fun.
vacation month.
Yes, it's so fun. Like I said, I've never really had to travel for shows before, and I mean, maybe I can think of an instance or two where I happened to be on a vacation and there was a show happening, but this was my first time really, traveling. Oh
Mhm.
my God, it was awesome. I loved it. It was,
Yeah.
like you said, it was just such a fun way
Yeah.
to vacation.
Well, you find so many interesting people in the crowds.
Mhm,
Like one of the 311 concerts that we went to, I was 6 to 8 months pregnant with our second
mhm,
one, and there's, like, no seating. It's not a
mhm,
stadium, it's like a ballroom type of place, so there's tables to sit at,
mhm.
but I'm, like, on my feet for most of the night, and there were, like, of course, 311's an older band, and so, you have,
Yep.
like, the most of the people there could have been my parents, and so they,
Mhm.
saw me, little me, pregnant, and, like, there were some guys that got rowdy, and they were started to do, like, that mosh pit type of,
Mhm.
moving around, getting rowdy, bumping into people, and, like, one mama grabbed onto me and was like, "You're sticking with
Wow,
me. You and your
that's
husband are staying
awesome.
right here." And then her burly, like, 6-foot husband who could have been, like, a football player, like, one of the guys came right towards us, and he got in between me and him and, like, pushed him away. It was like, "You need to get back." And was like
Oh,
they were,
yeah,
like, all surrounding me, like,
that's
making sure I was
awesome.
good. I was like,
Mhm.
"This is such an awesome community. I love this." So,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
I
you find
agree.
those people in that, that atmosphere that you just cling to, and it's so much fun.
It is so fun. Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
I loved it. And some of these shows I was by myself, like the San Diego show, and then the other shows like the New York City Bowery Ballroom show. I was with
Mhm.
my friend Terry and my friend Joseph, and Joseph was one of my best friends from art school at University of Michigan, and he
Mhm.
lives in New York now. And it was just so nice to be able to connect with him, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was really good. And then it was so fun to meet people too when I was by myself in San Diego.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I met some really great people and so fun.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
family, are you
Mhm.
married or do you have kids or pets?
Yes, so I have, well, they're not so little anymore. I keep forgetting. I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Okay.
They both love to play piano. They're in lessons. They're actually in lessons with my cousin, who was my piano instructor growing up. And
Okay.
so it's really awesome that they can continue learning with her.
Mm.
Um, They also really like Motown, which that's my other super big music geek thing. I feel like in a lot of ways I'm like the Detroit ambassador for so many things, for like automotive stuff and also for music, Detroit music specifically. And Motown was something that I grew up with, even though it was already considered like oldies when I was growing up. There was a station in Detroit that played Motown 24/7, and it's such a part of my childhood, even though I did not grow up in the 60s. And so my kids, I don't know if you've ever heard, because yours are younger, there is a really great cartoon called Motown Magic. I believe it's on
Ooh,
Netflix. And they have, it's a cartoon, but they wind in all this Motown music into the cartoons and they
okay.
stay true to the songs. They don't like butcher them or make them weird. And so even though I was playing Motown in the house, my kids loved this cartoon. This was a while ago now, and they
Yeah.
learned all the words and all the music. And there used to be a play place in the area in Detroit that had like um, small little fake Detroit landmarks,
Okay.
like of course they had like a post office and a grocery store and a pizza parlor. And then there was a
Mhm.
mini Motown. So all the Motown music was recorded in a house that's still
Okay.
standing in Detroit. And it's called, Hitsville, USA is what is like, it's a white and blue,
Yeah.
like iconic building. And they had a mini one, and that's where my kids
Okay.
love to go. So when Motown turned 60, which, oh God, hard to say. I feel like this was right before COVID, so maybe it was 2019 or 2020, right before everything kind of went down. Hard to say. I knew it was the 60th anniversary, and I took the kids to the play place, which of course they flocked to the Motown, little Motown building. And then I
Yeah.
surprised them. I said, "Okay, now we're going to go to the real thing." And I took them and it was like the day of the 60th anniversary. I surprised them, and we went to the actual building, which was only like a 12-minute drive away.
That is
And we did the
awesome.
tour, and they were so excited. And I was so, it's like, that was such a proud parenting moment for me because the tour guide was like couldn't believe they like knew all the lyrics, they knew the music. They were like, they even let my oldest go behind the ropes in the studio and like, you know, help. And I was just like, don't break anything, don't touch anything, like please.
Right.
But that was really awesome. So especially like I think my youngest isn't as much like lately into Motown, but my oldest is, and that's something that's really fun. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm also really into gardening.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
COVID thing too. I think for so many of us, you know, we're
Yeah.
home, we're like wanting to find new hobbies, or like even sometimes getting food was a little tricky. So it was like, well, why
Yeah.
not try to?
Yeah. I had a 1-year-old at, or not even, I had a newborn
Mhm.
during that
Oh
time.
gosh,
Um, so
that
I
had to be
just
really tricky.
it was,
Mhm.
doctor's appointments got kinda scary, it got really because 'cause you're
Yeah.
taking them every single month to
Yeah. Oh
see the
yeah,
doctor.
those very yeah.
It was just like, I don't want to take them to the doctor's office. I want
Mhm.
to stay home. Um, so yeah, it was interesting, but, um, I was like, "I'm not gonna start a garden." I've tried it. Um,
Mhm.
I did better when my grandma was helping me, but,
Yeah, your kids are really
uh
little still. Like for me, I
yeah,
want to say they were older, you know, and it was
yeah.
easier. So like in a few years or in 4 years or so, you might.
Well, then they can help with the gardening.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, they're helping with the chickens. The other night, they went out, like, my husband and I were eating dinner, and I was like, "Hey, boys, help me get the chicks in here in a second. We need to bring them inside." And they were like, "Okay, mama." And so they put their shoes on. I was like, "I meant, like, in 10 minutes." They're like, "No, we do it now." I was like,
Aw,
"Okay."
that's
So they went
cool.
out there by themselves, the 2 of
Mm-hmm.
them, grabbed the chicks out of there, put them in the container to bring them inside, and my oldest carried the container inside with the chicks.
That's
So then I put
awesome.
them away. But, like, they've gotten so independent
Mhm.
with it,
Oh
I can
yeah.
almost just go put the chickens away, and they go and do it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's great.
monitored, of course, but,
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to see that independence,
Yeah.
come out of them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's exciting. Yay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
one thing
yeah.
too, this is again me circling back to all the my music geek stuff, but when you are in Detroit next, if you have time, please go to the Motown Museum because it is phenomenal. Like the tour is so good, and what I keep telling too, it's like I really want my team to like all of us to go together because and of course I'm a member of the museum. I go a lot. But you will be shocked at how much they talk about Ford. They talk
Really?
about Ford constantly in the Motown tour because the man who started the Motown record label worked on the assembly line for Ford
Okay.
before he started the like record label, and he actually picked up all of these learnings from Ford and applied them to a recording studio. And it is fascinating. Like it's like
That is
the
awesome.
efficiency and like that kind of assembly line mentality, but still keeping the creativity of the songs. It's
Mhm.
fascinating. Like especially for me, you know, I visit plants all the time and I'm very close to all of that with our pre-builds and things like that, design quality. It is fascinating, like what he took from working at the plant in Detroit to like
Yeah.
applying it to a completely different industry to make it more efficient. And I mean, it's just amazing. That's one thing that makes Motown Records like so awesome and unique is like how he transferred principles from automotive design from Ford specifically, like that whole assembly line. So
Mm.
the way he ran Motown Records is he had a house band, which is known as the Funk Brothers, and then he also had, you know, the songwriters that worked for the label, and some of the songwriters were also artists themselves. They would write songs for themselves. They would write songs for other acts. But because you had like a holistic team writing all of the music, you had the same background singers, you had the same background band, and they're all recording it in
Okay.
the space. That's why Motown sounds so cohesive. It's like if you hear a
Okay.
Motown song, you know it's Motown, and it's because he made it super cohesive because he basically took Ford's, you know,
Yeah.
assembly methods and applied them to music. And it's pretty incredible. It's so cool. So I, as an automotive designer and a music geek, I just like love all of that. I get really into it.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to like get all the Ford employees to come over and take the tour, because it is so interesting too, of like, then what can we take from Motown, and bring back to Ford
Yeah.
also? And creatively, what can I take from that? And like,
Right.
inspire me for the work that I'm still doing for Ford. So it's really cool. I know
That's
I sound
awesome.
really geeky about it, but
No,
I'm so passionate about both automotive and music, and I love it when things intersect.
yes, I
Mhm.
completely get that. So
Yeah,
how do you balance, kids and a job?
it's tough. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's
Yeah.
definitely tricky, but um, it. God, they do have a lot of activities. Also, like Dawn, we're not really doing a ton of sports. My kids have also tried them. They don't have too much interest. Again, they're doing like the music lessons and like theater improv type things, stuff like that. So they do have a lot of activities, but it isn't that type of thing that takes over every weekend, which is good because, this week I'll be at the Dream Cruise. And, a couple of weeks ago, I was at Silver Lake for the Bronco takeover. So, like, I do get pulled, into Ford events during time. And sometimes they come, like they came with me to the Dream Cruise last year, and that was really fun. Um, they were also at Silver Lake. They weren't up on the dunes with me, but they were like playing mini golf down the street. They had a lot of fun doing that. So it's tricky, but it ebbs and flows. There's times where I'm traveling a lot, and then and that can be a little bit hard for them. But yeah, it's been good. And as they're getting older, it's getting a lot easier as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what is your vehicle preference?
Oh my God. Okay. So I have a Bronco Sport, which I love. Its name is the Bronquito. It's cactus gray. I love it so much. I didn't have a ton of time to find it. I had to find it quickly, and it was when they were still like high demand, short supply. So it doesn't necessarily have all the features I would have wanted. It's funny, my sister also has one, Stella. So we've got Bronquito and Stella, sister. We call them the sister ponies. And we go together every year to get our Christmas trees, and we strap our Christmas trees onto our Bronco Sports, and then we like caravan back. It's so fun.
I love it.
So, yeah, I love it. I
Yeah.
love my Bronco Sport. It's so good in the winter here on the icy roads in
Mhm.
Detroit. I can fit so many plants. Oh my God, I can fit so much, and it's bad. I wish I couldn't fit as many plants because I don't need to be buying any more plants for my garden. But I can like stuff that thing to the gills. It's amazing. With the seeds down, it's incredible how much space it has.
Mhm.
And I love taking it on road trips. I took it, of course, to these concerts recently, drove, and it was so fun. But I also have a Mustang, which has no name. I cannot name this Mustang. I have been trying for almost 3 years, and my sister keeps telling me that it will tell me the name when it is ready, and it's just not happening. So I'm open to suggestions. If anyone wants to help me name my Grabber Blue Mustang, I would be happy to take any suggestions. I love Mustang. I've worked on so many Mustangs over the years, and my mom, of course, was a passionate Mustang driver, and I'm really proud to be a second generation female Mustang owner, and also to be a designer on Mustang. I don't know if you saw the Mustang FX package that just came out. That was one of my projects, the California Special as well. And
I'm
some
sure
more fun.
Tim's talked about it, and I
Yeah,
probably just glossed over it.
yeah. So
Um,
I am
yeah.
just as I'm working on trucks and Bronco, I'm also working on Mustang
Okay.
heavily, and I love it. I love Mustangs so much, and I love driving a
Yeah.
Mustang. But because I'm also a gardener, and
Yeah,
things
you
with
have to have
kids.
that all-terrain utility vehicle to help
Yes,
with that.
absolutely. So I'm really happy to have both my two
Yeah.
ponies. I love them so much.
So we actually have 3 Shelbys on our floor right now. The owner is selling 2 of his. One is orange and
Okay.
one is the Brittany blue.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Um, and the other one is red. I believe it's his as well. So he's selling
Okay.
off his 3 Shelbys right now.
Oh,
So
which model years? I mean, I can guess when you said Brittany blue, but the red and the orange, do you know which model years they are?
here, let's see. Because they are on our website right now currently.
Ooh. I worked on multiple model years and I guess you could say generations, but the favorite one that I worked on as a designer was the 2010 model year. That was
Okay.
such a fun project.
So
Great team
the
on that
red
one too.
one is a 2020 and the orange one is
Okay.
also a 2020.
Ah, yes. So those were after my time on Shelby.
So, yep, two 20s and a 21.
Okay. Oh, beautiful. I bet they're
Yeah,
gorgeous too.
they are. And we,
Yeah.
one of the guys has like this sign that says Shelby Lane,
Oh,
and
nice.
he put it up outside of one of the offices in front of all the Shelbys. And so it's like
Mhm.
3 Shelbys all on our showroom floor with the Shelby Lane. It's
That's
pretty fun to
amazing.
see.
That's great. Yeah, I loved working on the Shelby GT500 Mustangs, and
Mhm.
I remember one of the times that Carroll Shelby came and we were presenting everything for him in the studio, in the design studio, and I swear we took photos, like internal
Mhm.
photos. Ford had a photographer that came and we took all these team photos around the vehicle, and I'm like, man, I wish I could see those. I wish I
Yeah,
could find them. I've even asked an archivist at Ford, like, where are they? Because we had like he was the design studio like official photographer, this guy who has since retired, and he was always taking images of different things and groups, people, teams. I'm like, where did he put these images? Because I would just absolutely love to see
yeah,
them today. That would be great. So maybe one day. That's a
right?
challenge that I need to focus a little bit more on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question for you and I lost it. Oh, um, so I actually saw that you were in some Mustang pictures for one of the
Mhm.
packages, I believe.
Oh yes, yes, the FX package. That was so
Yeah.
fun. That was
Okay, so I have seen that.
yeah,
I actually was looking at it with him. I was like, "Wait a second. I
yeah.
know her. We've met her at the Maverick Embargoed event." I was like,
Mhm.
"I've been meaning to reach out to Dawn to see if I can talk to her."
Yeah.
But I was like, "Now I have a reference photo and go, I want to talk to this person."
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. I love that. Yeah, that was
So,
so
yeah.
amazing that they invited us to be a part of that, and they made these amazing like custom race suits for us.
Oh, I know. Those were
Um,
gorgeous. Like,
those were so cool. It was amazing, and the designer who made them or who designed them, she was great to work with, and she used to do costume design for SNL, for Saturday Night
okay.
Live. And it was just such a joy to work with her and get the colors. Like, we worked together to find like a perfect match to the exterior Adriatic blue. And it was great. It was such a cool experience.
Yeah.
Especially because, my fashion design side, I was like totally geeking out for all the fittings and all of that stuff. It was really fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So, going out and doing those photos,
Mhm.
uh, they were probably posing you, and how long
Yeah.
did all of that take?
That was a full day that we
It was a
were
full
at. Yeah, that was a full day. It was intense, and it's so funny because like you'd think it wouldn't be tricky, but because you can't see your reflection at all, it's like you really have no idea where you are in space. Like
yeah.
you may think that the pose looks fine, you can't tell. So I
Oh,
really
no.
relied on them, especially
Yeah.
the designer of the suits. Alyssa, she was amazing, and she helped me so much with kind of like styling
Yeah.
all of that. Thank God,
Yeah.
she was
So we
fantastic.
our department is video here.
Mhm.
So, we're doing the YouTube videos, we're doing I actually worked in our picture building for 2 years, 2 or 3 years, going into COVID.
Mhm.
Um, and everything. So he and we were doing the podcast and we're like, oh, we need a banner. So let's take out our vehicles. At the time I had a Maverick. He had his Bronco, both in Area 51. So they were like a matching like son and or father daughter type vehicles. I had the Maverick, he has the Bronco, same colors.
Mhm.
We took him out into a
Beautiful
field
color.
and we took pictures, and of course I'm like a couple months pregnant. So like I have
Mhm.
a belly already, and I'm like
Mhm.
trying to pose and look
Oh
good
yeah.
and everything. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, after the pictures are done, I'm like, I wish the person taking the picture had told me I look like this. He's like,
Oh,
no, you
right.
look great.
You
And
really can't tell.
I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, if you
But
think it looks
also,
great.
and it's about the composition with the vehicle, right? It's like it's not just about like whether you're in like an awkward pose, but it's also like how is it lining up with the stance of the vehicle and all of that. It's
Yeah,
like so important. And so I was really grateful for her help, not only designing these amazing suits, but helping us kind of like
look your best.
look our best. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
that is awesome. Yeah, I was just like, I know her. Like I
Yay.
was freaking out for a second. He's like, oh yeah, yeah, I think I remember her. I was like, well, you
That's
barely talked
awesome.
to her. It's like you barely talked to her. You were more concerned about the brand manager.
Aw. And
So
I was so happy when you walked up to me at Silver Lake Sand Dunes at the Bronco
yeah.
takeover. I was really happy to see you. That was such a cool surprise, especially
Yeah.
knowing that we were going to be doing this. You know, it
Well,
was
I was
really
talking to Haley and I was like, oh yeah, I have an interview with Kristen. I
Mhm.
would love for you to come on, Haley. And then
Oh yeah.
Ryan comes over. He's like, so I heard you talking about Kristen. I was like, uh-huh. He's like, she's right over there. I was like,
Oh, that's
oh
cool.
my gosh.
That's
So
awesome. I'll have to thank him for pointing that out. And
he's
Haley
like,
would be great.
yeah, well, and I think I called you Kirsten because I have a couple of Rebel Rally teams coming on,
Mhm.
and I have like two Kirstens and another Kristen. And so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like getting all
Don't
mixed up in my
worry.
head.
Trust us. We number one, I didn't even notice because like it happens so much. If you have a Chris name or the Kristen, it's we get everything. We get Chris, Chrissy, Christina.
Well,
You
Ryan
wouldn't
comes
even
up, he's like, "You were
Crystal.
talking about Kristen." I was like, "Kirsten." He goes, "No, Kristen.
Oh,
She's right over there." And then he's like, "I didn't say anything." He just like walked away like he did nothing. And I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
oh,
It
that's
was,
awesome.
it was funny, but yeah,
That's awesome. I
yeah, it
had
was a
so
lot of
much
fun.
fun taking like weird photos at that event too. I'll have to send you some of the pics I took because I was like, oh my God, these are like great angles. It's like you can't shut that
Yeah,
stuff off. Like when you study photography, it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like I remember at one point I was in the back seat of a Raptor and we were like crammed in like sardines. It was like all coworkers. And because
hmm
remember they were asking us all to get back in our vehicles because of the drone. And
yeah,
so I just hopped into this Bronco Raptor in the back and this guy Matt that I work with was like, he was on the passenger second row. I'm like behind the driver. Someone's in the middle, and I'm looking at the passenger side view mirror, and all I see is like Matt looking at this line of Broncos driving in the parade, and he's just like a kid at Christmas so happy, and then you can see like
yeah,
the Broncos coming in. I'm like, this is a great shot. So I like whip it out my cell phone and I'm like the paparazzi just like
yeah,
and our project
yeah,
manager, Devin, she's amazing. And she was just on top of a Bronco next to us. She was such a vibe up there. She was so excited for the event. She was so happy. And I'm like, this is amazing. So I'm like taking my paparazzi shots of
yeah.
her. It's so fun.
Yeah, I did a couple of panoramic shots and got a couple of other like of course we're doing video. So I got video so that we can, have it in the videos that we do. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I completely get it. I was taking
it was
video
great.
and pictures the entire time.
Yeah, it was just so beautiful. It was amazing. And I was
Yeah.
at the 60th Mustang event in Charlotte at the Speedway, and that was so interesting because it was so similar where we had the whole caravan of Mustangs, all different model years, you name it, all coming in because the 60th anniversary Mustang was also one of my projects, like the Bronco was. And but that was it was just as epic, but it was totally different, right? Like because they're coming in like the little entryway to the track, and then seeing that but on the sand dunes with the Broncos, I mean, it was unbelievable. It was so beautiful. It
So
was
was
really
that
cool.
in South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina when they
Mhm.
released Dark Horse?
It
Or
was
was that
not,
something else?
it was a different event. It was just for the
Okay.
60th. And they announced the 60th anniversary Mustang package special edition. And then also, I feel like that's when they also unveiled like the track experience that you can do
Oh, okay.
down at Charlotte.
Yeah.
But it was a different event than the Dark
Yeah.
Horse, I believe.
We were
So
up
fun though.
we were at Charlotte to interview Von Gittin
Okay.
for because we partner with him here. So we were up there getting an interview with him and seeing his lab and going through everything.
Cool.
And he's like, "So you're coming to the Mustang thing tonight?" We're like, "The what?" And he goes,
Oh,
"The
awesome.
Mustang, the reveal." And we're like, "We haven't heard of this." He's like, "Oh, hold on." And he called somebody. He's like, "Okay, so come over to the track at this time. Come to here.
That's cool.
You're good. Come right in."
That's so
And it's when
cool.
we stumbled upon the Dark Horse release.
Cool.
So they were
That
like,
sounds
"Here's the Dark
fun.
Horse." They had all these Mustangs lined up because they invited Mustangs to come in, park in the middle of the track. They released it. Of course, they had oh, what's his name from Malcolm in the Middle? He was there,
Oh,
um,
yeah, yeah.
doing MC, doing some interviews with some people,
Mhm.
and we just stumbled upon this. Didn't know what was
That's
going
so
on,
cool.
and then of
What a
course they
fun thing
did a
to
lap
stumble
around the
into.
track to finish off.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see. So I could imagine, for the 60th, you probably had so many more Mustangs, so
Oh, it
many
was
more things
great.
going on.
So many. In fact, I got the inspiration for I got a lot of inspiration for possible license plates for my unnamed Mustang because all the classic Mustangs were so cool and they had such
Yeah.
like amazing like fun
Oh yeah.
custom plates. I was like, ooh, let me see if this is available in Michigan.
Right. So I feel like Mustang is your biggest enthusiast club, your biggest enthusiast vehicle. But
I love
Bronco
it.
is getting up there.
Oh yeah, it is.
And if you
I'm
talk to
definitely in a lot of
Maverick,
women's groups for Bronco Sport as well.
oh yeah.
So,
And if you talk to Maverick,
oh yeah.
we are heavy on Maverick here.
Mhm.
Um,
It's a great
they're
truck.
doing so many things to them. I
Yeah.
saw someone take paint and made their vehicle look like it was wood paneled.
Oh
Like, they
wow.
put on the
That's
brown
awesome.
paint and then went back and put in the strokes, the wood grain on it, and oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh, he
That's
did it for
awesome.
the entire vehicle.
Oh wow.
Like, the entire
That's
vehicle looks
cool.
like it's wood. There's so many cool things going on. So,
Yeah. Oh
while
yeah. I wish I
Mustang's
could
the most
do it if I had a
prominent
bigger garage and a bigger
while
budget.
Mustang's the most
I would
prominent,
totally do that.
yeah, but it's
And
so
a
fun that you get to
freewheeling.
work on all those.
Oh yeah. In fact, I really wanted a freewheeling so bad and I was waiting and I was trying to like line it all up. So that's, my family car, like that's and I got like rear-ended by this poor woman. Someone hit the car behind her, totaled her car, and then we were both at a stoplight. We weren't
Uh,
even moving, and it totaled both of our cars. And so I had to get a new vehicle a lot sooner than I expected, and it was before the freewheeling had launched. I'm like, no, I really
yeah,
wanted to wait for that. So
I'm
who knows?
excited for
Maybe, yeah.
the blue edition.
Oh yeah, the blue is really nice. In fact, that's what I left the dunes in. It's so funny. I was in like 3 different Broncos at that event. Like I was just hopping in here and there.
Here, there,
And
and everywhere.
I left in that blue freewheeling Bronco Sport, the Ford Custom Garage
Yeah,
package. So cool.
yeah,
Also, it was great to see the Coastal Edition for FCG, the Ford Custom Garage.
yes,
That was really fun too because we had designed that as like a SEMA build, and
yeah,
then it turned into the Ford Custom Garage package. And it's just the other thing I love about these events. It's like I get to see all these other projects that I worked on, or my design babies, as I call them. And even at the
yeah.
Mustang event in Charlotte, it's like every Mustang I worked on was there. It was so cool. It was magical
That's
to like
awesome.
see that and the
Yeah.
memories. Seeing them. I'm like, oh, the memories of designing them, and just
Mhm.
awesome.
So
So
I will tell you the coastal package that we had. So we were actually informed that we were the first person, our first dealership to order that.
that's so
Um,
awesome.
so our general manager went to talk to someone and he's like, "Oh yeah, we ordered the coastal." He's like, "So you're the dealership that did that?" You're the
Well,
dealership. You're our one order.
that's
We
awesome.
actually sold it to a couple in Colorado.
Okay.
And then we have another couple that's wanting to buy one. So we have another one that they're probably going to order. And then we have
That's
another one coming.
awesome.
So
I love
they're
it. It's
popular.
a really great package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially those doors.
The tube doors are amazing.
Yes, they're amazing. So, well, it's been so much fun getting to
Yeah,
talk to you.
same.
So, yeah. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us.
Yeah, thank you so
Uh,
much for having me. It was wonderful.
yeah, maybe another time.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you for another awesome week of All Women Driven. Don't forget to hit that like and share, subscribe, and the notification bell. Those are all wonderful ways to support me and help us move forward. Um, and we will see you next week where we go look into the past to drive women forward in the future. Have a great day.